Okay, so I had earbud problems, ladies and gentlemen, but this is news that you can use for Monday, February 20th from CarEdge with your hosts Zach and Ray. I do apologize for the audio and hearing issues that I had, and yes, I finished
Well,
my oatmeal
hopefully
this morning.
hopefully we're coming through loud and clear. Now let us know, folks, if there are any audio issues. Sorry about that. Dad, we're going to kick things off with Ford news, because what a better way to start a Monday than Ford's own CEO, Jim Farley, coming out and saying to all of his employees, all of his shareholders, hey guys, we've got issues, we've got to change them. We've heard this story before, but now with a maybe a renewed sense of urgency. I'm going to run you through some of the stories here, Pops. Let me pull it up first. I just want to
Okie
set the
dokie.
stage. We have Ford leading the pack when it comes to recalls already in 2023. BMW has 5 recalls so far in 2023, but right behind them with 389,000 vehicles impacted, Ford has 5 recalls. And just recently, Dad, I'll start sharing different screens. Ford F-150 Lightning impacted by separate battery issue because they had a previous battery
Yes.
issue. We have a Ford assembly plant that has had production paused for a couple days now. This is a production plant for the 2023 Ford Escape. We also have, Dad, Bronco Sports and Ford Escape owners that are suing Ford over, I think this was a, where was it? Yeah, handful of 2021 Expeditions, Navigators, Escapes, Broncos. This had to do with a crack and leak in the fuel inside the engine compartment. Oh, and we also have, Dad, a
Yeah.
2023 Transit recall going on right now. And just to put perspective here, Ford's own CEO saying corporate inefficiencies are growing back. Ford is shocking the industry with just how difficult it can be for them to actually produce vehicles. Are you surprised by this?
It's not how difficult, it's how inept they are. Okay. And they like to blame it on 100 years worth of corporate culture that keeps seeping into all the things that they do. Um, and that, my friends, is merely an excuse. Okay. They there is a culture in place at Ford that, well, people don't really care. I mean, yeah, there are people there that do care. Apparently, there's not enough people there that care, and so these ugly issues arise all the time. And last year, Farley said it cost them $8 billion in profit through all these inefficiencies, through all these issues, through all these errors. It cost them $1 billion in profit in warranty and recall work, and they're off to their typical start for 2023. They still have the same issues. This is Farley's third year. If and I know Bill Ford has great faith in Mr. Farley. Um,
Yep.
but if you can't get a handle on this in 2 years, why would you believe you're going to get a handle on this in 3 years? Um, yeah, oh, great. They can identify it. They just can't do anything about it.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate reality here, Dad. And the reason this is today's number one story is we are at the 1 year anniversary from Ford announcing Model E. This was the 1 year anniversary from when they split Ford into 2 separate business units, one for internal combustion
Hmm.
engine vehicles and one for electric vehicles. And you just see how challenging it is for them to actually, I don't know, operate this business, their internal combustion engine business, while also trying to start a new business, their EV business. We document Ford a lot. We track the auto industry religiously. I would not be surprised that I know I came out with a video a couple weeks ago on the main CarEdge channel talking about how this could be the death year for Ford. I just don't see how they right the ship. It's a year after that decisive moment. That could be a make the company moment. And we're here a year later and Farley's coming out. Headline in Auto News, headline in Ford Authority, headline across the industry is Ford CEO comes out and says we don't know how to we don't know how to operate our business. We have inefficiencies. We have challenges. We have too many costs. That's a year after that big make the company moment. I'm just shocked, honestly. Shocked they haven't been able to turn
Um,
it around at all.
I don't know that shock would be the right term. Um, it is hard to adjust the inefficiencies within a corporation as large as Ford, that has been around as long as Ford. You could have a manager who says we have to change this, and he gives the
Yep.
specifics of what need to be changed and how it gets changed. And then there are people down the line who will say, yeah, that's a great idea. I was here long before Jim Farley got here, and I'll be here long after Jim Farley's gone. And so he can say whatever he wants to say, but I'm not doing anything different than what I've done. And until they purge themselves of those people, and
Yeah.
trust me, they are knee deep in those people, uh, nothing's going to change. It's human nature. I used to, when I ran dealerships, my dear friend
Huh.
Glenn, and Glenn,
I
okay,
know Glenn Bob. Yeah.
and yeah, Glenn Bob, and if we would get like a new used car manager, a pre-owned manager, and the new pre-owned manager would come in and say, this is how we're going to do things now. I mean, Glenn literally would sit there at the sales meeting and look at the new used car manager and say, I just want you to know, I was here before you got here. Trust me, I'm going to be here long after you're gone, because you're not going to last all that long. And
Yeah.
shame on me for not getting rid of Glenn Bob, but I love Glenn Bob. He's my buddy. I figured I could eventually get through to Glenn Bob. So it's you have to deal with those people who are just so entrenched in an organization that they never
Yeah.
feel threatened, that they never feel as if they have to change or embrace any change. And
Yeah.
how many hundreds of thousands of employees do they have? How are they going to
Hundreds
change
of
all that?
thousands.
Okay,
Yeah, no,
yes.
I hear you. But it is surprising to me, Dad, that a year later you still have this many headlines. You have this many articles being written. You have leadership coming out and continuing to say poo poo on the things that I guess maybe also I need to recognize that things move a lot more slowly than probably anyone wants them to. And so this
Sure.
transformation that's happening at Ford, it's just going to take even longer. But I thought it was an interesting story to kick off with. Dad, the other thing that I thought was super interesting. Go ahead.
Yes. Well, I was going to say there was another issue that I read in part of one of the articles. I don't know which article it was.
Yeah.
About how they want to get on the EV side of things. They want to get that up to an 8% profit margin. Well, considering the fact that they lose money on every one that they build at this point, how do they do that? If all this nonsense is so entrenched, and even though they're starting a separate business, there's so many issues associated with acquiring the parts and the materials and everything that it is that they need, that if they're losing money allegedly on every one of the EVs that they now build and wholesale to their dealers, hell, how do you ever get that to an 8% profit margin when at the moment it's at a 0% profit margin, or it could be at a negative 1 or 2% profit margin? There's some big
I
issues
wonder
they have
what
to
the
address.
I wonder what the accounting is for this. It's like maybe you can increase your profit margin on day 0 when you wholesale the car, but then how do you realize then the warranty work you have to do on that 5 years later? Interesting to me how they think about and how they can maybe cook the books a little to make things look better than they actually are.
Well, the truth of the matter is, and I've said this forever and ever and ever that I was in the business,
Huh.
they maximize their money, okay, the day they invoice the car to the dealer. And once the dealer has the car, then the clock starts ticking as to how much more it's going to eat into the profit that they had, because they're going
Yeah.
to have warranty issues. They're going to have warranty repairs. They're going to have recalls. Those are all things that eat into the profit margin that was built into the vehicle when they wholesaled it. So they actually start losing money the day they invoice it to the dealer. They maximize their profit, and that day is also the day that they start subtracting from that profit. Now, I am sure
Yeah.
there are actuaries out there that have figured out what the average warranty costs will be by vehicle. But as we know, they took $1 billion hit to profits last year because of all the recalls and issues that they've had. So
Yeah.
you might have to throw out all the statistics that the actuary people came up with to figure out how it's going to impact their profit per vehicle.
Just to put this into context again, the reason it's the lead story today is because you go to the foremost automotive publication in the industry,
Yes.
and this is the headline story. Farley,
Yes.
Ford's dysfunction has returned.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to look that far with these guys. You really don't.
Well, the fact that they would frame it as it's returned, it's not that it's returned. It had it during a previous
left.
administration when Alan Mulally was the CEO. They kind of got it under control. Well, he left in 2014, if I'm not mistaken, and so it's been 9 years or 8 years, and their excuses, well, it kind of grew back. Well, it doesn't just grow back. It means it was never gone in the first place. The managers that allowed that type of stuff to happen in the past were still in a position to allow it to happen once Mulally left the company. So it hasn't returned. It never left, and that's what they have to come to grips with. It's not something that, oh my God, it reared its ugly head again. It's always been there.
Yeah. Hey, let's switch gears. I want to talk about the used car market. I know, Dad, you've got some really, really, really interesting news from the big public dealer groups,
Yes.
new car sales and new car prices. We expect them to come down over the year. And that's not just us, that's them. I want to actually start on the used car side of things because I was doing some reading before we hopped on the show. So every single month, our friends over at Cox Automotive, they put out a mid-month Manheim Market Insights report. Mid-month, okay? And it's a video, and it's pretty boring. No offense to the team that puts it out. But the data, they provide the data in a PowerPoint format. And there was something in here. This data, you really got to dig. This data is incredible, Dad. I'm going to jump all the way down. We should all be familiar at this point with this visual. This is the Manheim Used Vehicle Value Index. This is reflecting, and you can see the big spike up that we're currently experiencing right there. This is reflecting wholesale used vehicle prices at the Manheim auctions. Manheim doesn't sell every vehicle, but they sell an awful lot of them, and they have seen wholesale values go back up. We can corroborate that with literally everyone that we talk to. Black Book data has started to show it as well. Now, look at this, Dad. This is the data that I want to start looking at way more often. Used retail listed price and week over week change. There's a lot to unpack on this chart here, but this is where things get way more interesting for us, people that are actually going to go buy used cars, not at the dealer auctions. This goes all the way back to July, Dad. And you can see back in July on a week over week basis, used car prices were going up each week over $500 on the retail side of things. I'm looking way over here at the beginning of my y-axis. Then they went down, then they went up, then they went down, then they went up, then they went down, then they went up. Look what happened at the beginning of this year. Retail used prices, the blue line, dropped by about $1,500 a week at the start of 2023. A week, folks. They were dropping $1,500 a week. Look at that. Each week dropping. Now they've come back up. But actually, retail prices are starting to drop once again, okay? So over the course of a week, we saw prices go down over $1,500. They started to go back up again, blue line. Now they've started to come back down again. So the story here, the idea that used car prices are going back up, isn't necessarily true for retail prices. Retail prices probably will go back up as a result of these wholesale used car prices going back. But when I looked at this stat, I was like, wait, this is super interesting. This is way more valuable than us prognosticating, hey, here's what we think the impact of changes to wholesale values is going to be on retail values. Curious what you think looking at that. First time I've seen that type of weekly retail data. Prices did collapse at the beginning of the year.
Well, as would have been expected. But I also think what it points out is as wholesale values were going up again and retail prices were coming down, and even now we're seeing a slight downward trend again in the retail pricing. To me, that speaks to the compression in profit margins that we're going to see moving forward. Even if the dealers have to pay too much to get the cars, they know that they can't mark them up in the same manner as when they were buying them for less, because the banks just won't finance that anymore. And the people don't have enough cash to make up the difference. They don't have enough cash to put down to make up the difference. So the only way the dealer can continue to sell those cars is to compress their margins and keep the pricing somewhere in the realm of what a bank would agree to write a loan for, a payment that the customer can afford. So it's an unusual situation in the sense that the dealers are going to have to pay more, but they understand they're going to have to make less on the cars that they're paying more for in order to still be able to sell the cars to those people who are out there that might want to buy cars. It's really a rather unusual conundrum for the industry, because typically if wholesale values are going up, well, retail values are going to go up rather quickly. But if banks won't finance it, and if people can't afford the payment associated with it, then the dealer has to lower their margin. These are some of the most unusual times in the car business that I've ever had the privilege of witnessing. It is just it's an anomaly when you look at what all the historical data has shown to be what normally would happen.
Definitely, Dad. And it's different for different automakers. Let me pull this up on the screen. Brand strength at wholesale. Again, you really have to dig to find this information. I wish this stuff was more easily accessible. Nearly half of the major brands demonstrate appreciation 7 weeks into the year. Luxury brands are clearly underperforming the market overall. Tesla's new vehicle pricing has taken a toll on wholesale values, aka the waterfall effect is visible. Let's start at the bottom, Dad. I'll zoom in here. Tesla prices at the wholesale auctions so far this year are down 9%, 8%. They're 8% below where they. Let me reread this. I want to make sure I get this right. Yeah, the strength. So far this year, they've gone down 8% in value. BMW prices so far this year have gone down 2.5% in value. Volvo prices this year down 2% in value. Mercedes-Benz, etc. And then you have brands that have appreciated. Subarus have not depreciated so far this year at the wholesale auctions. Ram, surprisingly enough, have not depreciated. Mazdas have not depreciated. Lexus have not depreciated. Kias have gone up 1% in value. Toyotas have gone up 1.6% in value. Fords, for whatever reason, have gone up 1.8% in value. Jeep, Hyundai, Chevrolet, Nissan, Honda. Hondas have gone up 3% in wholesale values so far this year. So some automakers, their vehicles are experiencing depreciation, normal depreciation at the wholesale used car auctions, and others aren't. And if there's a trend and a pattern here, Honda, Nissan, Hyundai, Toyota, Kia, it's your mass market cars that people just want to be able to get their hands on.
And it's your mass market cars, new cars. Their new cars are in the shortest day supply of all the manufacturers. So that impacts the wholesale values of them. And that's why you see some appreciation. Tesla's depreciation is easy to understand because they lowered the price of their vehicles upwards of 20% or 15 to 20% at the beginning of the year. Well, of course, that has to have a negative impact on the values of older ones.
Yep.
There's no way around that. But they raised or they lowered the prices to gain more new car market share. And we said it at the time. This was to a certain degree a slap in the face of current Tesla owners, because if they wanted to get out of their Teslas at some point, they were the ones that were going to be caught holding the bag. They were the ones that were going to take the loss. Tesla isn't. Yep. Okay, their customers are. But that's the reality of the Tesla situation.
Absolutely, Dad. All right, one other story that we need to cover, and then a few comments in the chat that I want to pull up. So, Pops, we had the big public groups. They came out with obviously earnings over the fourth quarter. Dad, a couple interesting comments that were found here. First and foremost, supply at the major dealer groups, AutoNation, Asbury Group, One Lithia, Penske, and Sonic, all have increased materially from where they had been. And the other big piece to this puzzle, Lithia CFO Tina Miller said she expects Lithia's average new vehicle gross profit will continue to moderate this year as supply and demand trend back toward pre-pandemic levels. Miller said an assumed decline of $200 in that metric for each month throughout the year would move Lithia's average to $3,800 by the end of 2023, which would be, quote, a little above pre-pandemic levels. All of the executives at these major auto dealers, the world's largest, are all coming out and saying, hey, we are going to make less money on new cars sold in 2023. This is a big story because it's not just us talking about it or other people on the internet talking about it. These are the executives from those companies to their shareholders saying, hey, the months and years of over-earning, they're going away this year.
And these are the people that probably on almost a daily basis have conversations with every one of the major manufacturers out there, because they have so many of those brands in their dealership groups. So these folks really have their fingers on the pulse of what's going on. So if you
would hope.
Well, trust me, they've got billions invested. They get a little more information than you or I might. But it was interesting to me that they, at least Lithia for the most part, said, hey, we're going to have more cars. We're going to have to become more motivated when we're selling cars. So we're going to have to sell them for less. And they said they expect the manufacturers to increase the incentives to the buyers out there, to the retail customers out there, which will also help make the cars more affordable. They understand, these major players understand, that there's an affordability issue, that there's going to be an inventory issue in that it's going to continue to go up, and there's going to be a pricing issue that they're going to have to all figure out ways to sell for less. So if Lithia says we expect our gross profit on new vehicles to go down about $200 a month, that's $2,400 in the course of a year. So it's going to drop down to about $3,800. That gives you some idea that they were up around $6,200 in gross profit per new vehicle sold. But think about the percentage drop that is. That's huge. That is absolutely huge. Now, what it means is, I think, if you can read between the tea leaves, as you like to say, I think that bodes well for consumers throughout the course of the year. I mean, they're telling you right now, that new car you're looking at today and what we're asking for today is going to be about $2,400 less if you wait and buy it in December. So there is light at the end of the tunnel for American consumers. Now, whether or not they can wait that long is another story, but the longer people wait, based on what these CEOs are saying, that the deals are going to get better for them if they can maintain some patience when it comes to buying a car.
Not us this time. It's them. And we're you know what? We're going to believe them this time. We're going to believe them when they say profits are going to go down. Dad, I want to turn to the chat here for just a quick second.
Sure.
Congratulations to Edith. Thank you, Mario and Zach, on helping to obtain my Honda Pilot truck. So Edith has been a longtime member of our community. Pops, Edith worked with Mario on our team for the CarEdge Concierge program.
Very cool.
One of the few people that we've been able to help with that. So Edith, I'm so glad to hear that. Congratulations on getting your vehicle. And if you're interested, if you're watching the show and you're interested in CarEdge Concierge, just go to caredge.com/concierge. We are operating on a wait list right now. So please submit your information and we will see if we can help you. Dad, I want to give Schmitty to Go a shout out. Finally got my 2023 Silverado HC, $4,000 below MSRP, market value for my trade, and 2.99% for 60 months. That's incredible in the current market. Thank you for 2 years of education, entertainment, and the journey. Schmitty to Go, please do not go. Please stay a part of the community, and congrats on a job well done. And then, Pops, I also want to mention Habib here. Can I still get the coach discount if I just bought a few days ago? Pops, today's President's Day, and we are actually running a promotion over on CarEdge.com. So anyone who signs up for the CarEdge coach plan, so if I go to CarEdge.com and if I scroll right down, it's the plan with our dear friend and coach Ashley here. If you sign up for CarEdge Coach, it's typically $99 for 3 months of having us in your back pocket helping you navigate the car buying process, but now it's $69 through the end of February. And for you, Habib, if you send us an email, help@caredge.com, we will absolutely refund you and put $30 back in your pocket. We've got some big things coming out this week. Super excited about it, so stay tuned for that as well.
Okay, I will. I'll stick around.
Thank you, Pops. I appreciate it. Let's call it a show.
Oh, yeah, but before we go, can I ask you a quick technical question? Because you'll be fine
for the next show.
Yeah, I was going to say in about 14 minutes, I have to go on the other channel, and if I leave everything the same, I should be okay. Is that what you're saying?
Well, you'll be okay. Sorry again about
This is interesting. So this means moving forward, I don't need unless it's more than 2 people.
No, I think it's fine. No, I think it's fine, Dad. There was a button that I don't think we used to press to remove. Sorry, guys. This is now just like technical detail. This is tech troubleshooting with a dad. There's an echo cancellation button, and you had it checked, so I think you're fine. I think there won't be any issues. So you should be good to go, Dad.
Well, I haven't seen anything in the comments that would indicate that there were any issues, but I'm just concerned. So I just need to make sure that echo can't. I'm loving it. Hell, I could put my hearing aids in and then I could really hear.
Oh, yeah, you should do that. Jorge wants to know if we're affiliated with an auto transport company. No, I literally asked the team today if I can set someone up. We've got a few folks that are asking us like, hey, can we be CarEdge's preferred auto transport company? And I've just been too busy to take the phone calls. So I'm asking some people on the team to help me out with that. We are not affiliated with a car transport company, but likely sometime in the near future, we will be trying to get some discounts for our community. Pops, go enjoy your show. It's over on CarEdge Electric. So for those who are unfamiliar, just go in the YouTube search bar, search CarEdge Electric. It's going to be Pops. It's going to be Justice. I'm going to watch. I'm going to tune in. I'm also going to try and get a haircut. So fingers crossed I can do both.
Well, may I say the haircut at this point is more important than listening and watching. I'm just saying.
Thanks.
Now maybe if I had that much hair, I would do what you do and just let it get unruly like that. But you look handsome either way. Anyway, thank you everybody for being here today. Zach and I will be back here again tomorrow at noon Eastern, 9 Pacific, with more news that you can use from CarEdge. Have a great day, everybody, and I'll see you all in about 12 minutes on the other channel. See you later.